but our appetite for different deals are different. So like for me personally, I love just basic properties.
Yeah.
For other people, they love these crazy high-end deals
Sure.
that they can really make quality construction. Not to say that I'm not doing quality construction, but make these things just a Taj Mahal. Where that's just never been my business model.
Yeah.
So
It's so funny, like I'm very similar to that. I think of like Monopoly. A lot of people want the boardwalk and the Park Place. A lot of people deal with like Section 8 and the purples. I love the greens, reds, and yellows, man.
Yeah.
I like getting on base. I know what I'm looking for. I can burn and turn. I know the success rate. So I think that's great, man. I think in a lot of industries, people are always going for the flashy, shiny stuff. And sometimes it's just the middle of the road, boring, unsexy stuff that you're gonna be able to replicate and make some money on.
singles and doubles are great, right? And
All day.
You'll get those home runs like once in a while, and the triples, and those are phenomenal. But like all day long, I would rather have the singles and doubles.
Hear, hear. Well said.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, guys, welcome back to The Alchemists with Evan Rundle. Today I have a very special guest. He is a local real estate developer, house flipper, investor, entrepreneur, Josh Giordani.
What's up,
Welcome
dude?
to the show, man. How you doing today?
Good, man. How about you?
Hectic day here in San Diego, but glad we were able to pull this off. And I know I've rescheduled on you 2 times now, I think. So thank you for being flex. You know how it goes.
Yeah, it's all good. Happy to be on.
Thank you. And yeah, I got the pronunciation right, Giordani.
You did. Yeah.
Is that
it's
Italian or?
Italian, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And is that like where your whole family's from, or?
So it's kind of an interesting story, family stuff, but it's actually my mom's maiden name.
Okay.
So my dad and my mom never married.
Okay.
So when I was born, I was given my mom's maiden name. My dad's last name is Enlo.
Enlo.
So yeah, my
Okay.
mom's side of the family is Italian, Norwegian. My dad's side is Norwegian with a mix of Italian. So
Okay.
yeah.
Have you been to either of those places?
No, I wish.
Damn.
I know. So my wife and I, when we got married in, it was November of 2022, I think. We were going to do our honeymoon in Italy, and things just got too busy where we kind of kept postponing and postponing. So we're going to try to schedule for this year.
Dude, you got to do it.
I know.
Quick tips.
Have you been?
Yes.
Okay.
So I just went last year for the first time, so I'm not going to sound like I know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. But definitely go off season.
Okay.
Go like fall.
Okay.
You want to go like early September because it's still hot enough, it's still warm enough, but all the tourists are gone. And are you planning on going north or south?
I don't know. So she wants to do Amalfi Coast, Positano.
100%.
Yeah,
Perfect.
Yeah.
I would end your trip there.
Okay. Yeah.
So do like the city stuff first.
Yep.
Because then once you go there, it's like you're on island time.
Yeah.
And it changes the vibe.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think we were going to spend a little bit. So she has gone to Italy.
Okay.
And she's been to Europe. So she has like a game plan already dialed in for us. I think we're going to spend like 2 days in each spot and then stay at the end of the time in Amalfi for like a week or so.
Love that.
Yeah,
Sick.
yeah.
You deserve it, man.
Yeah.
You work too hard to not be able to do that.
I know. I get into this place of, we go to Cabo all the time. So I get into the place of like booking these quick trips, like just going on quick weekend trips.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, man, the amount of money we spend on these weekend trips, we could have just went to Italy. So it's funny, we're going to Cabo next month for a week, and it's like we could have just booked that instead.
Isn't that funny how that happens?
I know.
It comes in little buckets and it goes in little buckets. Like if only we could save it a little more, you know?
I mean, it's fine. We'll be able to go. I'm not a big long flight person. I think like that's why I've always enjoyed going to Cabo or somewhere really close. Hawaii, we go to Hawaii, but that 6-hour flight, I just get claustrophobic.
100%.
Yeah.
Do you get to work on the plane at all?
No,
You're one of those guys?
I'm pretty good at cutting things off. Like when I'm on vacation, I'm on vacation.
Love
So,
that.
Yeah.
What island do you go to?
In Hawaii, I just went to Maui. I've gone to Maui and I've gone to Waikiki. Those are the two.
So sick.
Yeah.
Haven't been to Maui yet. I was planning on doing all of them, and it literally rained on every island other than Waikiki while I was there.
Yeah.
So we just like canceled everything and just stayed on Waikiki for
Nice.
like a week, and incredible.
That's amazing. Yeah,
Right
Hawaii's a
on,
beautiful
dude.
place.
Well, dude, I'm pumped to get into it. I got a lot of questions to ask you. I haven't ever interviewed a house flipper.
Sure.
So this is kind of a venture off for me, but it's something I've always been fascinated in. And, for me, like, I know in my business model, cash flow is king, but I'm always trying to find out, like, how do I put the cash flow into equity and have it appreciate and have both things going at the same time. So I'm super interested to hear how the house flipping model works from an appreciation standpoint, from a cash flow standpoint, a tax standpoint, so I got a lot of stuff I want to dive into.
Sure.
But before we go there, just tell me a little bit about background. I know we just covered, your kind of, your nationality and everything, but other than real estate, what are some things you're passionate about?
So I've been golfing a lot. So
Okay.
I had a big goal last year. I started golfing a little bit more. As we get older, we need hobbies.
Yeah.
So my goal was to break. I was always not the best golfer, so I went and got a ton of golf lessons. Then I had a bet between a friend and mine, and first one to shoot under 90. So obviously the par is 72. I don't know if you play golf or not.
Not well.
Okay.
I can
So,
drive.
yeah.
And putt.
There you go.
Oh, I got 1 and a 9.
Yeah.
Anything in between, forget it.
Totally. So I went and got lessons because I was like, I want to kick his ass. I want to make sure that I win this bet. And so I went and got lessons, and I was taking lessons from basically end of last year until like beginning of this year. And yeah, I've been playing super consistently, and I definitely have beaten that score. So it's been fun. So hobbies, I love fishing. I love to travel a lot. I love going to dinners and trying new foods. I'm a big foodie.
Okay.
Then of course love to work out and exercise and all those types of things.
Love that. Yeah, and I see your posts and fitness and mindset. And so I feel like we have a lot in common, although we've never really hung out.
Yeah.
It's, there's kind of those people in our world, in the entrepreneurial world, we're kind of all doing similar things to
100%.
get where we're going, you know?
Totally.
And where are you guys from, like originally?
I'm born and raised in San Diego.
Really? Okay, what part?
North County. So,
Right on.
Yeah, basically right
Oh,
where I
yeah.
live. Yeah.
Which is not as common. I don't find a lot of like born and raised here.
Yeah, my wife is born and raised in San Diego too. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And what are your thoughts on how it's changed since you were a kid to now? I mean, are you pro? Are you against? Like
are we talking politically, or are we just talking like geography?
I would say in real estate.
Okay. Oh, in real estate. Okay. Well, I wouldn't have known as a kid. I feel like we've all gone through different market occurrences. When I first got into real estate in 2008, we were in a huge recession. But as an 18-year-old kid, I didn't know what was going on at that time. So I didn't know any differently when I was in that market as a realtor. And then going through multiple market changes now. I mean, I think we had one in 2017. We've had an election last year. Then we had interest rate spikes. So like I've seen kind of a lot in the 20 years that I've been in real estate. So yeah, I mean, as a business owner, you just kind of have to bob and weave with anything life throws at you, and including economy, and those things you can't change. So you just have to kind of adapt and move forward.
100%.
Yeah.
And so that's interesting. So you got started in 2008. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so I was a realtor. When I first got into the real estate industry, I actually was working at a cell phone place in the mall.
Okay.
And basically a dead-end job. My dad was I kind of shared a little bit. My mom and dad never married. So my dad lived in Palm Springs, and he was selling real estate in Palm Springs, and I was going through a pretty weird personal time in my life, and packed up my things the same day from this thing that happened, and decided to move out there, got my real estate license, started selling real estate until 2017. And then I went into title insurance, and then I actually started my wholesale and flipping company last year in January, and I officially retired from title insurance in April.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
So you've only been doing this a couple years.
Very short period of time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn, because you have an office and staff and all these things in a couple years. I mean, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah. I scaled super fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you find that a lot of credits from your previous stuff transferred to the new business? Was that making it? No, not at all.
No.
What about like mindset, philosophy? Like, because no one starts a company that size of yours in 2 years without some kind of carryover.
Yeah.
You know.
We should probably give some history. So
Let's do it.
Yeah. So when I was in title insurance, because I don't want to say these podcasts a lot of times, I'm happy to share numbers, and when I share numbers, people are going to be like, "What the heck? How did you do that in a very short period of time?" So when I was in title insurance, I worked with a lot of flippers and investors, and I worked with a lot of realtors. And so I was getting, the business that I was getting from realtors, a lot of times they'd ask me for an investor connection because they had an off-market property. And one of my good investor buddies who was in the industry, who I trust dearly, and him and I still partner on deals to this day, sometimes, like very randomly, but we do. I would bring those deals to him. And he's like, well, do you want to, or have some type of equity interest or a flat fee? Like, do you want anything from it? And I was like, I don't know. What would that look like? And so the first year ended up bringing him like a handful of opportunities, and made some good cash that I basically put on the side where I was still at my corporate job. So it was just extra cash on the side. And then the second year that happened, so this was, let's call it 2020, 2021, and 2022, those years. And 2022, I finally had enough cash to start investing with him in those deals. And then we started splitting them at a higher percentage. And obviously that was kind of like during COVID with the run up. So I kind of hit it at the perfect time. We did, a few handfuls of deals at that time. So I stacked up a ton of cash. And so I had a pretty big nest egg when I started my operation, when I went all in the beginning of 2023. And so I signed up with a coaching program that I'm still involved with to this day. And it's not a franchise, but like I just took everything that they were telling me from a water hose, and I implemented every single part of what they did in a different market into our market in San Diego. And I copied it to a T. I spent a boatload of money, and it was a huge risk on my part. But last year I ended up doing 68 deals, and this year I'm on pace to do 120.
Wow.
And that's like first and second year, like doing this 100% full time.
Incredible. Do you mind sharing what coaching program that was, or?
Sure. Results driven. So
Okay.
is a coaching program that I'm involved in.
Okay.
Very involved with them. I've become very close friends with the owner. Everyone involved in there. Now I'm like their, I wouldn't call it a poster child, but like we are, I fly out to Ohio to go speak, to share my journey.
Nice.
and how I've been able to accomplish what I've done in a short period of time.
Yeah. I mean, the only reason I ask is I think it's important. I think a lot of these coaching programs get a bad rep.
Sure.
And I've actually had a lot of good things come from programs that I've paid for and attended. And
Sure.
I think a lot of the times it has to do with the program and the coach, but a lot of times it has to do with the person. There's that expression like, until someone's ready, no one can make them. Once they're ready, no one can stop them. Mm-hmm. If you're ready and the skill set is there's nothing stopping you from doing the thing, right?
Yeah, I think 9 times out of 10, it's the person who's not doing what the coach is telling them to do.
Exactly. Just like anything else, like a fitness program or something. Mm-hmm. Like, lifting weights hasn't changed in hundreds of years. It's just, are you going to lift the weights or not?
Totally. And I think different, like talking about fitness, some coaches may give you a different rep range to work with.
Totally.
Right? Or someone will do like if it fits your macros, where you're
right.
just tracking calories, and some people will do a meal plan. They both work, right?
Yeah.
But it's really how you are as the person to be coachable on applying those different principles.
100%.
And any of them work.
100%.
I've interviewed on my podcast tons of different investors who do the same thing that I do, and also people who are big within coaching programs. And it's interesting because a lot of those people who they talk about the successes of other people who come into coaching, and most of them fail because they have too much experience and they're not willing to change what they're already doing. So something with me is I forgot all of my previous experience from being a realtor or being involved in other deals. I threw that out the window, and I 100% just like, this is what I'm doing. We're going on this journey, and either it's going to work or I'm going to fail.
Love that.
Yeah,
because it's interesting, when I asked you that a couple moments ago, I assumed that a lot of it would transfer, and you're saying quite the opposite, that you actually had to like unlearn all that stuff, clean slate it, and be teachable, pour the cup out, and then be able to have new stuff come in.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Because it's funny, like I used to teach vocal lessons. That was my job before I did this, and I was trying to make ends meet, and I was touring artists and all this stuff. And I would rather have a student that had never taken vocal lessons than a student that had taken the wrong vocal lessons. Because you have to retrain their breathing and retrain where they're putting their resonance and how they're projecting their voice. Mm-hmm. And to your point, it's, I think, harder to unlearn things and start all over. So good on you for being able to like clean slate and do that. That takes a lot.
It does. One of my rules too now is it's not a rule. I just don't love doing this. I've been hiring for a little bit, and my biggest fear is when I've been doing interviews with people who have experience doing what I'm doing, that I'm trying to bring on, is they do have bad habits, and they have things that they were doing in a different way. But because they're looking for an opportunity, it obviously wasn't working for them, right? And so then they have to unlearn all of the things that they were doing on the phone or their sales process or whatever it was. So it's hard as a leader, because you have to untrain them, and there's still ego involved. There's still these things like us as business owners. Imagine if a coach came in or someone came in and was like, hey, you're doing this wrong. You should be doing it this way instead.
Right.
And you're going to be like,
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So it's hard to change.
100%.
Yeah.
So give me some examples of that. Like what were some of the things that you had to kind of put to the side, and what were some of the new things that you got?
So one of the things is we buy virtual.
Okay.
So like I'm in San Diego, my market's San Diego. We don't buy anywhere else outside of San Diego.
Smart.
But when our process is pretty streamlined with my acquisitions team, where we can do everything virtual without going to see the property. So I can run all my numbers virtually. We make our offers virtually. We go under contract virtually.
Wow.
After that, we have a process after we go under contract. So when I initially started, I'm one that was always used to touching and feeling and going and walking and seeing the floor plan of the house and the conditions and things like that.
Yeah.
But what I was taught and what I learned the hard way, I'll share what I learned the hard way. What I learned the hard way is that I was doing a lot of things in the beginning myself. So I was going on these appointments, and I would spend a day. I would have a day every week or 2 days every week where I would go on five appointments a day, all over the county. I would go on these appointments, and let's say I got 50% of those deals, but then let's say 3 or 4 of those deals, or let's say 2 of them, canceled. Like I'd knock on the door, no one was home, they decided to go a different direction. And so I'm like, I didn't do this to not buy more time back. I did this for freedom of time, because I would prefer to be in the office with my team.
Yeah.
So that was in the beginning a hard reality, but I quickly learned the hard way of, people not showing up.
Yeah.
To just engulf like what they're teaching us.
Yeah.
And if it can work, then I'm proof that it worked. So
Right.
I think just being adaptable is important for me.
Love that. And it also sounds like delegating. So how did you solve that problem? Was it transferring to virtual that now you're no longer wasting that time? Was that the solve?
Yeah. My coaching program, they buy virtual. So they flip virtually in different markets. They also wholesale in different markets. But they do everything prior to, or they get the property under contract before they even have their contractors walk it or anything like that. So now that is our process.
Got it. Love it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's dive in, because I'm fascinated by this, and let's go macro, micro, just really, if no one's ever heard of it, just give us like the 30, 60 second, like this is what it is, and then I have some specific questions for you.
Yeah, I mean, so the flipping side of things is fairly straightforward, right? We're buying a house that needs a ton of work. We're putting some money into it, and then we're putting it back on the market to make a profit.
Love that.
Pretty straightforward. The wholesaling aspect, we're getting a property under contract. It would be the same thing. We're running our numbers the same as if we were to flip it, but we're assigning it to another buyer. The other buyer is basically paying us a commission.
Okay. Pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward.
Simple. Yeah. And this can be done all across America? Are there different laws in different sectors, or?
There are. I don't know. I think certain markets with wholesaling, you're required to have a license. California, you're not. I'm sure it's going to go down the pipe. At some point with flipping, like I don't necessarily need my real estate license for anything.
Interesting. So anybody can do it. Wow.
Yeah.
What would some of the barriers to entry be?
It is really hard. So and I've had deep conversations in regards to this. So I do a ton of direct to seller marketing, and I spend a boatload of money on marketing. When I first got in, I'll give an example. When I was an agent, early, like between 2008 and 2017. We could make cold calls, right? Which you just have your cold calling software, and you could make, let's call it 50 to 100 calls a day, and get a decent amount of leads, and have a sustainable business doing that. But to do this business is really challenging without having some type of money that you're spending consistently. So it costs me on average about $10,000 to get one deal.
Wow.
So yeah.
Today.
But
back then it didn't, because you could dial and.
Back then was pre all the rules with Verizon and T-Mobile flagging calls, so it was a little bit different. You can get through to consumers. Now cold calling today is a totally different animal. I'm just saying marketing in general. So like if we're talking, I do everything: pay-per-click, pay-per-lead, direct mail, all these different sources. So now it's just more expensive. The cost of acquisition is more expensive. And barrier of entry is much higher because you have people who, like me and other companies here in San Diego who are doing it at such a high level that for you to do it, your chances of doing it at scale or as a career, you may get lucky.
Yeah.
But at scale will be really challenging if you don't have capital.
Love that.
Yeah.
And so starting it, did you know that, and was that taught to you, or did you just have to like figure that out?
So I wanted a predictable business.
Okay.
So in the beginning, when I first was doing the referral stuff, it was all direct to agent. And so we were flipping all of those deals, but it wasn't predictable. It wasn't a predictable income for me, where it was okay because I had a corporate job, right? So like it was just side hustle money. But I wanted to create a predictable business. If I was going to retire from my corporate job, how am I going to be able to survive every single month and know that I have an income coming in?
Right.
So when I signed up with coaching, you can reverse engineer a marketing spend to kind of control what you can or can't make in this business.
Makes sense.
So for me, if let's say $10,000, is one deal for me, and one deal I make 50 to 100,000, then I know that I need X amount of money per month to get to wherever I want my income level to be. So that's kind of like how I reverse engineered it. So to answer your question, in the beginning, no, I didn't know until I went into coaching, to where I kind of like, they had industry standard numbers to where I reverse engineered what I wanted to do.
Love that.
Yeah.
So, all right, so I'm a newbie. I'm coming to San Diego. I've never done house flipping. Right off the bat, that's a huge barrier to entry. Yeah. What would another barrier to entry be? Are there like financing problems and being able to close on these? Are there lending issues? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, for me, so you can come if there isn't an issue. So let's say you're a newbie and you're coming into this market. I wouldn't say, because if you want to do your own thing, like someone like me or another company is probably not going to hire you because you have the ambition to be an entrepreneur, to start your
competitor.
own
Right.
So, but what you could do is bring the competitor a deal, or network with other agents and start making some side hustle money to where you can gain enough capital to then invest in your own deals.
Interesting.
So
sweat equity.
Yeah.
Partnering with you, adding value to what you're already doing. Love that.
Yeah. So to me, if I was fresh starting out, I would go meet with a ton. If I wanted to do something like what you're doing, I would meet with people like you, and I would get to know you, and I would find out what holes in your business are missing, and if I can fill those holes.
Love that.
So, like for me,
and that applies to everything.
Absolutely.
Like any industry. What you just said.
I even think like some of the greatest friends that I've met in this industry, we've connected and they've shared things like, hey, is there something that I can help you with? And like they share what their need was, and that's how I've created good friendships. It was just a connection or like something super simple.
Yeah.
That like I knew the right person that could help them do what they wanted to do.
Dude, I love that. I forget who I was listening to, but they take it a step further. I'll remember later, but it's some podcast or some motivational speaker where they take it a step further. They don't even just say, how can I help you? They do what you said. They do even more research, and they come with how they can help them.
I think it's Alex Hormozy.
You know what? I think that's probably who it was.
Yeah.
It's like, skip that step. Like, don't go to a networking event and show up and be like, hey, how can I add value? Like, now you're right. Because it's like, now you're giving me homework. Don't give me homework. Don't make me tell you how to help me.
Right.
You come to me already knowing how to help me. And I have found a lot of success with that, because same thing in my industry, I'm helping realtors sell property. I'm helping developers find a way to make their deals pencil for even higher, have their investors make more money, have brokers make more deals. So I don't even have to think. I'm coming ready with that. And I think that's really cool that you found that out early.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
I feel like in business as we grow up, we have to find that actually transpired when I was in title insurance before.
Okay. All right, so a little credit transferred.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
In order for me to get business, I had to find a hole in what a realtor was looking for, right? And that was the thing that I had to add value in ways that my competition was not. And so, and I sometimes, because they weren't sharing those things, I had to just figure it out. And most people in the real estate industry, their businesses are very similar. They're looking for deals or new ways to get deals or new ideas, new things to implement or strategies. So come up with new strategies.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well said.
Yeah.
So, okay, so now I've gotten around how to come into the market. I've gotten around finding a way to get started. What would be like the unicorn deal? Talk to me about that for a minute. So, like, is it the zoning? Is it the market? Walk me through that. Like right now, knowing everything you know today, what would be your unicorn deal?
So house flipping is different because I don't really look at zoning so to speak, right? Like a developer is going to look at the zoning. For me, like the stuff that I am typically buying are regular single family houses, condos or townhouses that just need a little bit of work.
Okay.
Let's say it's, I'm going to just use a whole number, like 75% below market value. Need to put, $50,000 to $100,000 into it, and I sell it for whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's worth $1 million. Buy it at 750, put 100 into it, and the difference is my spread minus commissions and costs.
But are there certain deals that are more attractive to you than others? Like, does multifamily have a higher ROI than a single family? No, it's just each deal is specific.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I think it comes down to each operator's risk. So some people in today's market, they love the higher end stuff. They love the higher end. They like to make, my industry's, everyone has their way of doing things, and all of our businesses are not the same, which is kind of interesting to think about because we all do the same thing. Yeah. But our appetite for different deals are different. So like for me personally, I love just basic properties. Yeah. For other people, they love these crazy high-end deals that they can really make quality construction. Not to say that I'm not doing quality construction, but make these things just a Taj Mahal. Where that's just never been my business model. Yeah. So
it's so funny. Like I'm very similar to that. I think of like Monopoly. A lot of people want the boardwalk and the Park Place. A lot of people are dealing with like Section 8 and the purples. I love the greens, reds, and yellows, man. Yeah. I like getting on base. I know what I'm looking for. I can burn and turn. I know the success rate. So I think that's great, man. I think in a lot of industries, people are always going for the flashy, shiny stuff. And sometimes it's just the middle of the road, boring, unsexy stuff that you're going to be able to replicate and make some money on.
Singles and doubles are great, right? And
all day.
You'll get those home runs like once in a while, and the triples, and those are phenomenal. But like all day long, I would rather have the singles and doubles.
Here. Well said. Yeah. Awesome. Well, cool, man. Well, dude, you've definitely answered a lot of my good questions. Let's talk about some of the nuances. So let's talk about lending. What does lending look like for house flippers?
So a normal hard money lender will lend either 80% to 90% of ARV, so after repair value. They also lend on construction costs. So upfront, most buyers are putting between 10 and 20% down, depending on liquidity and things like that. That's pretty standard.
Okay, and who's determining the ARV? Is it like a realtor? Is it someone that's doing like an appraisal?
So they do like a drive-by appraisal.
Okay.
But I'm submitting at what my ARV expectation is. They get a second opinion for that.
Got it. And who's doing that on your team? Are you finding these deals and then underwriting them and looking at comps? Or?
Yeah. So I still underwrite all my deals.
Love that.
Yeah. I'm still very involved. I love. It's funny. I think a lot of people have this thing about entrepreneurship, and if you still have a job, if you're still in the business, and I think that's okay. You can still have a business and still have a job. Yeah. Because I still love my business. Like I thoroughly love being involved in the team. Yeah. I love being in the office. I love my certain parts of the business that I love more than others. So yeah.
I couldn't agree more. And I feel like on every podcast I've done so far, I talk about Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. You ever read that book? Yeah. Shout out to Dan. And like, I didn't know that I could still have a job that I enjoy within the context of my company. Because I too had been constantly fed that line of like, oh, you have a job. I'm like, that's not a bad thing. Like retirement is one of the number one killers of human beings. Like I love to work. It's okay to work. It's just what are the things that I enjoy the most in my work that make me the most money, and what are the things that make me the least money that I don't enjoy, and I can delegate those things, right? And that's like the secret sauce.
Yeah, and I think a big part of still having a job is your revenue. You still have higher percentages, right? Like if you start giving away a portion of the business and you hire to delegate for more time, then you're cutting away from being more profitable in the business.
That's right. Yeah. So then how do I free up my time to then make more profit to then be able to do that? And it's this constant balancing act. And in a couple of years, you seem to have done that. I mean, that's very impressive.
Yeah. I mean, my profitability with the company is very high because I'm still very involved. Yeah. Because I don't have a ton of employees and overhead and things like that. Right. If I was to have hired to try to get rid of my day job, then my business would be less profitable. And it would be like, what would be the point?
Well, and there's seasons for everything, right?
Sure.
Like there's some seasons where I want to just grind for a year, and there's other seasons where I need to back off. And I think as long as you know that within yourself and you have the freedom to do that, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And you've given yourself that ability, which is I think what entrepreneurialism is really about,
Sure.
right? It's freedom at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Yeah, awesome, man. So talk to me about the ops team then. So I've seen your office online. Talk to me about what goes on a day in the life in the office.
So I am constantly underwriting deals.
Okay.
So I have two closers who do acquisitions, so sales, that are in the office. Because we spend so much money on marketing and they're constantly on the phones all day. So like each of them probably make, between 100 and 200 calls, but these are qualified opportunities.
Okay.
So most days I'm underwriting a lot of deals. I've gotten really good. I was not great at this before, but I started to love KPIs and tracking for different marketing channels. So like the marketing aspect of the business is something that I'm still very, very involved with. So I have marketing meetings multiple times a week, meetings with my CPA and my accountant. I still do dispositions. So like on the wholesale side, when we have deals that we're trying to assign to other investors, I still am very involved on that portion of it. I do love that side because it's, I've always loved the B2B side of the business to business. And for me, assigning deals, I'm talking to other operators in the space, connecting with them, getting a pulse in the market, talking at a different higher level.
Best practices.
So I'm very involved on that side. And then from an agent relationships perspective, I still talk to a lot of realtors every day that still bring me opportunities that are off market. So that's kind of like high level day in the life.
Nice.
Yeah.
And is that the lead gen? So is that where most of your leads are coming from, is relationships? Or I know you said you have click funnels as well. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so the marketing, so no, to answer your question. So I do personally get a ton of realtor relationship leads.
Okay.
But our business is driven off of online advertising or direct to seller advertising.
Okay.
So, and that's what my acquisition team focuses on.
Got it. And then you're getting those warm leads, but then you're really the one like underwriting it. And then what happens after that? So let's say, okay, I like it, deal's good, green light, then what?
So then they jump on the phone, they make an offer, whether we get it or we don't get it, then, next steps.
How long, walk me through the life cycle of that. So from getting the lead all the way until closing, what does that look like?
Just depends. So like let's say like perfect opportunity, which we do get a lot of these where they'll call the same day, they call, we process them, we do a two-part conversation, a process call to get detailed information regarding the property, regarding the situation, regarding time frame. If everything lines up and they're our avatar, we go into the next stage, which would be me underwriting the deal. We underwrite the deal. I give her kind of high-level parameters on where we can be on the deal. My acquisition team calls them back, gives them where the property is approved at. If it's a green light, we go under contract.
Damn.
We schedule a walkthrough. Typically, we have a relationship with a home inspector who goes and takes photos for us and that kind of stuff.
I bet they love you, man.
Yeah,
You're giving them a ton of business.
And then depending on the property, I decide whether or not we want to flip or whether or not we want to wholesale it.
Interesting.
So it just depends. And like all the realtor ones I flip, I don't wholesale those just because I want to keep the relationship and make sure that we relist with them and keep our reputation, things like that.
Smart.
With the direct to seller stuff, it is more, I can decide whatever I want to do. If I want to keep it, if I want to flip it, if I want to wholesale it.
And do you ever hold?
I do have rentals. I'm big on active income right now.
Okay.
And when I first, a couple years ago, when I first started making a lot of money, we all look at like the golden goose, right? Like let's go buy a ton of rentals. Let's keep them. Let's get some cash flow. Let's start building our net worth, which I think is phenomenal. I think it just took away from my time on, and not time because they were managed and things like that, but I just felt like one of them didn't cash flow. Excuse me, both of them did not cash flow.
Okay.
So I was negative, let's call it $12,000 a month.
Oof.
So it just got to the point where one of them sold and the other one's in escrow, closes next month. So I'm kind of repositioning what I want to do. because I make so much active income. Right now, my marketing money goes a lot further than what it would with buying rentals.
Yeah.
So right now, I'm just not in the mindset of keeping anything,
Right.
unless a unicorn deal comes along that I decide to.
Right. And we get 4 Airbnbs together or something, and they're 2xing the rent or whatever.
Right.
But you found your niche, you found your money machine, you found what works, and I totally hear that. If it's interesting, like if you were to invest your money somewhere else, you know what that dollar can make for you in your own machine, and there's the cost of that dollar somewhere else. So it's like, why would I do that?
It doesn't make sense.
It makes no sense. If you know what you can already make, why go in another lane? So totally respect that, and I think that's important. I think a lot of entrepreneurs, myself included, we get the shiny thing syndrome. Like when crypto started up, and I even like built a machine. I had a miner, like it was a whole thing, and I'm like, what am I doing? This same dollar, I already know I can put it in Airbnb. So I think it's important to learn early.
Yeah, and I think too, like for a lot of I see a lot of entrepreneurs doing a lot of things.
Yeah.
And what I've realized and what I've gotten hyper focused on, and being around a lot of entrepreneurs, we all have some like really cool ideas or other businesses that we could start, and it becomes a distraction.
Yep.
And when I know that my money is well suited in the business that I'm already creating, why do I need to do all these other things? And that's kind of like where, before we started this, you asked me about social media. The reason why I've not been as active as I was is because I know that my business is what generates my income. And being around my team is what's important, because that is what provides them, their family, provides for their families, provides for my family. The social media thing, I was looking at it like, oh, maybe I'll start a coaching program, or maybe I'll do this, or maybe some opportunity will come up. And I'm like, wow, I don't need that. Like, I'm here in the business. This business is generating tons of revenue. Like, why try to go on these other angles?
100%.
And so it just took away from ultimately what I knew that I should have just been focused on in the first place.
Keep the main thing the main thing.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
And I think it's important, especially right now with social media, because I know myself, I've fallen into that trap. When I was in my previous career, like singer and songwriter and all that stuff, I found myself posting for the post, not for the impact of the post or the service it would provide or the connections or anything like that. And that's a dangerous trap to fall into. And I waited for almost like a decade from the entertainment career to the business career to start posting again. And even now, I have to be very mindful of like, what is my motive here? Like, what am I really trying to accomplish? Is it about ego? Is it about attention? Or is it about like, can I help somebody with this? Right. And as soon as I can pivot into service, and before I do any posts, I'm like, would I want to consume this? Would it be helpful to me? And do I think this is going to help somebody else? And if it meets that criteria, I post it. And if it doesn't, I don't. It's very difficult to do. And I've only been doing that for about 3 or 4 months now since I started becoming active again. And I think, but to your point, if it distracts from the main thing and I don't find that it's adding value to myself or others, then let's go back to the office. And so it comes in peaks and valleys, I find, for me.
I do too, and I do think that there's a point. I was just talking about this on the podcast that I did the other day. Is that I do think there's a point where it will come back, but from a different angle. Like I feel like I was going on to teach people how to invest in real estate or flip houses or how to wholesale, and to me, I think if I was to start up again, which I probably will, is more of like what situations that I help, so I can be more of the local expert to generate, let's call it leads or connections on social media from other realtors who may have something that could work for us, right? And because social media is a powerful thing. You can build connections and great relationships, which you and I, I'm sure, have from social media, which is great. But you just don't want it to consume you to where, like I was filming 3 podcast episodes a week. I had a content day. Like I was posting like 3 shorts a day. And so like to do that much content at scale, like I'm just not one person to like go 1 foot in and 1 foot out. Like I'm either all in or
picking
nothing.
that up.
Yeah. So when I went all in, it was like I was spending $5,000 a month on like having all these people, and it got to a point where I was like, what am I doing this for? Like it's not serving me. It was actually making me depressed. And there's also that dopamine thing. with getting attention online and getting attention from other people and getting invited into these places to go speak and do these things where I'm like, why am I doing all this?
Yeah.
So
100%. And I'm thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that. I think people need to hear that. And I know myself that I have fallen into that trap again of, the dopamine. And so a couple of things that I've done that I found very helpful is I do this thing called Sacred Sunday, where if anyone that knows me well knows this, you can't reach me on a Sunday. My phone is essentially useless on a Sunday. I don't post, and if I do, it's a timed post or someone on my team is posting. And I don't check social media, man. I do literally like a cleanse every Sunday to just get rid of that and reconnect with nature or spirituality. I don't know if you're spiritual or not, but whatever. Just getting out of that constant feedback loop.
Yeah.
Because it's addicting. And I think that especially people that haven't experienced like an ego death or some kind of like time in their life where they had to let go of one thing to find a new thing, like you already shared, you become attached to it.
You do. And
you start living for that versus letting it serve you. You start serving it, and that's like, I think, really the end of what you want to do,
Yeah, for sure. It is. Yeah, 100%.
Well, and do you want to ask how old you are?
36.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Ahead of the curve for sure, man. Yeah, that's awesome. And so you said something a moment ago that I kind of want to touch on, because we can talk about the business stuff forever, but really why I wanted to do this podcast is I want to like connect with entrepreneurs and go a little deeper on like the driving forces behind things and why we do things. And a moment ago you said that like when you do something, you're all in. And I have found that to be a common thread with most entrepreneurs, but I'm always fascinated about where that comes from. So do you know internally kind of like where that like laser focus comes from? Because not everybody's like that. Not everybody has the courage or the aptitude to go all in on something. And so do you know where that comes from with you?
I actually really don't, to be honest. I was just trying to think of it on the top of my head.
Who cares?
I don't, but I definitely have gone through, I'm just thinking back even to like I've gone through seasons of life where I was more committed than others.
Okay.
And so I've done that like with my real estate career, with my title career, I have not faced any different seasons yet in this business. But I think it stems from having a challenge, right?
Let's talk about it.
I think with any business, it's become challenging in the beginning, and then you're not challenged at a certain point once you get to where you want to go. So I dealt with that in real estate. I dealt with that in title insurance. And I am, at this point, there's not a ceiling, so to speak, where at those other places, like there may have been a mental ceiling. Now I don't have a ceiling. So like sky's the limit in my mind, but I have gone through seasons where maybe I'm more motivated than others. So yeah.
Well, let's talk about that. So, on other episodes, I've talked about push-pull motivation. Are you familiar with that concept? So like Tony Robbins talks about it, and basically like earlier on in life, a lot of us are going from a push motivation, right? Like survival, food, shelter, it's avoiding negative. But then eventually it becomes going towards the positive. So I know I've seen posts with you, like with your wife or with other things. It's like, this is my why and this is what's driving me. Do you know like what is pulling you today versus pushing you that's motivating you still today?
I still love fueling from negativity.
That's okay.
Yeah. I think,
and it's good. It's healthy.
I think so too. I think a lot of people stray away from that eventually. They say, like the gurus will tell you that you should go towards the positive. But I've always used bad things that have happened in whatever it was that I was going through at that time to fuel my business.
100%.
Getting fired, or having a fight with a business partner, or whatever it could be, to fuel me from working harder and pushing forward and knowing that like people would think that I'm going to fail, right? And I wanted to prove people wrong. So I've always used negatives to push through any of the adversity.
Totally. And maybe the way I framed it wasn't the right way of saying one is better than the other. It's not. Yeah. It's definitely not. And I think both have a ton of value. Yeah. Like God knows there's plenty of times I'm in that gym doing bench presses at somebody, right? Yeah. Like you MRF or like whatever. Like there's plenty of times I use that. But I'm just curious, when I talk to entrepreneurs, like what they're tapping into. So yeah, if you're tapping into the push, great. If you're tapping into the pull, great.
Right.
And you shared with me some stuff on the phone earlier, and we're kind of in that part of the podcast where we're talking about alchemy. Talk to me about the earlier stuff that happened and how are you using that today in your career and in your life, in your personal life?
Yeah. So I think I shared on the phone. My mom and dad never married, and a lot of that stuff doesn't necessarily fuel me anymore. Something that still to this day, my dad and I have a great relationship, but he always has self-doubt in himself and in his business, which I can feel. He may not say it, but I can feel it with how he portrays things to me and how I'm doing. He may say he's proud of me or that he's proud of me, but I truly don't believe it because I know he doesn't believe in what I'm doing. And so when I first was going to leave my corporate job, I could tell, you can see it in your parents' face when they don't agree with what you're doing. And it was very clear. And regardless of if I talk about finances or whatever, to this day, I can still tell it's in one ear, out the other, because it still doesn't believe. It's it's going to go away, right? And he's going to struggle and I'm going to have to help him or whatever it is, right? And so have I used that for motivation now? Sure. There's been a lot of things that I got fired the first 3 months into title insurance when I left being a realtor. And because I didn't know how to do the job, and I ended up partnering with people who I didn't vibe with at the time, and then I got hired back from the same person 3 months later because I went to another company and I started crushing it and became #1 sales rep at that company. So that part of that business fueled me when that negative thing happened to me. Nothing in terms of the flipping and wholesaling stuff. When I made the transition, nothing negative has happened. Of course, as an entrepreneur, we always deal with struggles, but struggles are there. I'll tell you this week, we haven't gotten a deal this week, which is not normal for us. And so that's why I scheduled a last minute coaching call and I'm what's going on? Looking into
I got a heart out of two, man.
But I actually love it because it makes me very self-aware as to what's going on in my business. So the negative things, because no one outside influences other than what I shared with you on my fertility stuff can affect my business, right? I think we can control, as entrepreneurs, we can control our business and how much money we make because we can make those changes necessary in order to make more money.
Right.
So I haven't really had any negativity with that, but in my previous life, I have had some adversity that I've used to overcome.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Give me an example.
Well, getting fired and rehired, that's one.
Okay.
Yeah, and then my dad and I had a falling out years ago when I first was in real estate, and I moved back to San Diego to start selling real estate again without him, and we stopped talking for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
And so I had to reach out to him. I had to be the bigger person and try to get over it, and it was over money. And it wasn't money that I cared about, but it was money that he cared about, and it was his ego. And so we've never really talked, him and I have never really talked about it since it all took place, because now we've built a better relationship and things have changed. But yeah, there's definitely been a lot of different stuff. But in the last couple of years, it's all, as we get older, less of that stuff just bothers me when it comes to negativity. We just pick and choose who we deal with, who we want to be around, who our friends are, where we spend our time. Yeah. So.
Totally hear that, man. And I think it's so important. And it takes both. I've had definitely a tumultuous relationship with each parent at different times in my life. And my dad, not the same reason as yours, but certainly, had our falling out. And to your point, I think it takes both people making that effort and trying to rebridge, the gap. And not last year, but a couple of years ago, I got to take him to the Grand Canyon.
That's awesome.
And it was this beautiful thing where I went, because I don't know if you know this about my past, but I struggled with addiction early on, and I was living out of a car at one point in my life, and I was causing a lot of damage to a lot of people, including my dad. And it was really amazing to be able to be the person that provided for that trip. It was the roles had shifted for the first time in that experience, and it was just really nice. And now we have a great relationship.
Yeah,
Awesome. I took him to Rome. We were talking about Italy earlier.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
But it takes effort on both parts, you know. And to your earlier point, you know, I think that like that chip on the shoulder, I find that most entrepreneurs have that, and I'm grateful for that. And I hope it never goes away. But I think what's different for me today, and I don't know if you can identify with this, is it doesn't drive me. I can use it though, right? It doesn't use me, but it's still there, and I can like pull from it when I want to. Do you find that as well?
Yeah, I feel like I have the humblest, biggest ego that there is.
Okay, all right, let's talk about that.
No, I don't know. That I would say that I can get along with anyone in a room.
Okay.
You know, money and all that stuff isn't a factor when it comes to friendships or relationships and you know, things and stuff. And I love things and stuff, so that's why I'm saying like I do have a big ego, but I am still very, very humble. The chip on my shoulder doesn't have to be on there, and I could subdue to, you know, a different situation and be a vulnerable part of a relationship.
Love that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about like habits that come from that then, right? So, you know, we talked about the business side, talked about the non-business side, you know, what you're doing for health, what you're doing for mental health. Talk to me about that.
So there was a lot that I used to do.
Okay.
I go to the gym, like my habits now, my routines have been the same for the last few years. Like I haven't really changed. I haven't really changed much. I may have spent more time reading and listening to podcasts and books, but where I'm at today, I'm not doing a lot of that. Not because, not for any reason other than I felt like I was getting too many ideas from different places. And so when I was talking about just being focused on like what I'm doing, like I'm not listening to economic news anymore. I'm not diving into like what so-and-so thinks about interest rates or where they're going, you know, and in terms of like, you know, podcasts and things like that, I do feel like there is a place for that with beginning entrepreneurs. But once you get yourself to a good routine, a good habit, you may not need those things anymore, right? And I think you just can take in what you want to take in and cut out the noise with everything else. And that's kind of where I'm at now. Like I feel like I've had a pretty balanced mental state. I would say the things that I do for fun on my hobbies is my kind of like my break from the business, so to speak, where I can kind of just cut things off for a little while, because I think that is important to be able to cut things off, get off your phone. So like golf has been that for me. There's been times where like I'm not on the phone, I'm not looking at my phone for a couple hours, you know, spending time with some buddies and like, you know, playing golf. You know, working out, I work out every single morning. I don't skip a day. My wife and I normally, like now the daylight savings is changed, like we go on walks at night around the neighborhood, like that's our just alone time together. Some days I have my phone with me, which I get in trouble for. But it happens. So yeah, I've pretty much stuck to the same thing, but like I will say, I think right before you and I met, the year before that, so this is right before that deal that we partnered on or did that event there, I listened to, and I got the idea from Andrew Greer, is I listened to like 75 books in 1 year, which was phenomenal. It was great, and I would suggest anyone to do that if they're early on in their like business journey. But just now where I'm at in today, like I'm just very like grounded. Yeah. And if I'm having an off day, then I'm having an off day. Right? Yeah. I chalk it up for just a day and I can move on from it. And most of the stuff is like stuff that I can control, so it's not a big deal other than certain things.
Yeah. And if you can't control it, it's like, why even worry about it? Yeah. And it's interesting you said that about the books, because when you're talking earlier, I go through phases too, where I'm like an Audible junkie or a YouTube junkie, and I'm just like, I want to get as much as I can. And then to Hormozy's point, it's like, you want to listen to 100 books 5 times or 5 books 100 times? It's like, let's dial in on the ones that are really, really important. And if you haven't learned from them, if you're not applying them, you didn't really like read the book. You know what I mean? You just listened to it. Yeah. But if you're not taking that and executing it and applying it, like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I think most people think like that's going to change them or do something.
Right. Yeah. Just constantly. It helps because it helps, I guess, cleanse the mind. But then if you're not doing action behind it, it's like, what are we doing?
That's what I was going to say too. Like being an action taker over a consumer or consumption is huge.
100%.
Like I think people consume thinking that they are going to be busier, or that they look at that as being like a habit stack, which of course it can be. Yeah. if you are the action taker as well. Like if you're not an action taker, that habit stack means nothing.
Right. Fully agree. So now, okay, so your habits sound pretty dialed in and fitness. What do you do on the mental health and spirituality side of things, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, so I grew up Christian. I have not gone to church. I've debated on getting back into, faith a little bit. But to be honest, like nothing.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
If it's working for you,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like people are always trying to find like the thing, and I don't think there is a the thing.
No, there's not.
It's like just whatever works for you. As long as you're not out there being like a complete a-hole, like hurting people.
Yeah.
And you have a wife, you have a career, you have employees, you have all these things. Like it doesn't matter. And by the way, like things change. Like life is fluid, and so like I've had to so many times. I've always thought that like I had it figured out, right? Like this is the thing, or where it's spirituality, like I'm all in on this and all in on that. And it's like, dude, you're not the same person you were 10 years ago. The things you needed then aren't the same things that you need now. And people, I think, get so caught up in like just finding the one thing where it's like all the things can be the one thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So good on you, man.
Yeah.
So, all right, so we're coming towards the end here. Just real quick, I'm just going to do a speed round.
Yeah.
Top 5 books, Desert Island. What are you taking?
Can I pull it up from my
Sure.
list
Yeah,
real quick?
absolutely. Absolutely.
Let me look. I spent a lot of time. So the two that I liked is the one I think I already know. One by Ed Milet.
Love him. Great guy.
What is it?
The One?
Yes.
Fantastic book.
I like that one.
Are you the one?
What does that mean?
Well, if you've read the book, you would know. I'm just kidding.
I know.
I'm just
It's
messing
the
with you.
1% of every book. I told you. It's like you.
Well, it sounds
the power of one more. So I love. So when I was doing, if I was telling people, because they were like, oh, how many of those 75 books did you actually were you actually able to consume? And I'm like, you know what? If I got one thing out of those books, like to me it was a win, because I did it in the morning when I was drinking my coffee,
Right.
And that was it. Instead of watching the news or like CNN, it was like, I'm listening to that. So The Power of One More was definitely one. I love Patrick Bet-David's book, both of them, the Choose Your Enemies Wisely and the other one that he has.
Rockstar. He's great.
Yeah. I liked, I know those are all going to be like very standard. Grant Cardone's are always good. I always enjoy his.
Which ones? 10X?
Classic. Yeah, the classic 10X one. Dean Graziosi is another one that I loved. This is a big one. Relentless, Tim S. Grover. So that was a big book when I first got into like the title insurance industry before I retired. That was one that I would read every year because you had to be relentless. So those would be mine.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, next one. 5 fitness tips.
Ooh, create a habit or a routine. Pick a diet that you can stick to if you're trying to lose weight or gain muscle. Pick a workout plan that you're going to stick to. And if it's not any of those things, just start exercise, like just going on walks and finding things that you like to do.
100%. Yeah, just start.
Just start doing
Just get started.
Yeah.
And last one, what advice would you give your younger self and your older self?
Man, so I see these younger entrepreneurs doing what I'm doing, and like I loved the journey of what I've done. And starting early, I think a lot of people when they're younger, they'll do things differently maybe. Like my journey would have been different, and now I'm more mature. Now I can understand. I can make higher level financial decisions at where I'm at today. So I loved my way that I went on. So I don't know that I have advice for my younger self.
Yeah. So it made you who you are.
Yeah. So, and even older self, like I think that's a complicated question because I'm like, I don't know who my older self would be. I think being faithful in my marriage is important. Being able to be present is important. Those two, like more on like a personal level. So yeah.
Great answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're not supposed to know really,
Yeah.
right? So love that.
Yeah.
Well, so as we wrap, how can people get in touch with you? How can they reach you? Who's your ideal person to work with? Talk about that.
Yeah. So Instagram's easiest, Josh _Giordani. And then, yeah, I mean, I'm always looking for opportunity, like off-market opportunities. So like any realtors who, do business here in San Diego that have stuff, even wholesalers if they want to connect with me for deals that that they have. Yeah, and I love connecting with people. So like even if someone connected with this podcast and they thought it was good and good advice, either way, you can DM me anyways and happy to carry on a conversation. So yeah.
One nugget. Hopefully one person got one nugget and it was all worthwhile.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Josh, thanks so much for coming on. Hopefully we get to do a deal together soon.
Yeah, let's do it.
And we'll be in touch, yeah?
Cool, man. Sounds good.
All right, guys. See you next time.
See ya.